Islam Makhachev is set to face the 15th ranked Thiago Moises on July 17th at the UFC Apex. This, in many people's eyes, is an indication of the challenges Islam faces at the moment. Islam has been hovering in the top 10 to 15 position for what seems like forever now, and it seems like it doesn't get him any closer to a title. I agree with a lot of those sentiments, but to a certain extent. The UFC, just like Islam, are dealing with hurdles in building Islam to the champion he potentially could be. Let's tell these guys what those hurdles are. Before we go any further, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. If you want more videos like this, let us know in the comments below. The first thing that we'll go over is Islam Makhachev and his activity in the UFC. We'll just look at the UFC. If you look at when he's joined the UFC back in 2015, he started off with 2 fights. In 2016, he had 1. In 2017, he had 1. In 2018, he had 2. 2019, you had 2. 2020, he had 0. And 2021, so far, he's only had 1 fight. What does that say to you? Well, that means the UFC has had problems with certain people in the past that had similar situations to Islam Makhachev. Khabib also wasn't that active as well, especially earlier in his career. He would have these years where he would have 1 fight or 2 fights. With that, it's kind of hard to position somebody in the top 15. It's hard to continually have these fights going on every event for, especially just in this situation. We'll talk about the lightweights. You can't constantly have these fights with lightweights and then at the same time keep a guy like Islam Makhachev, who's only fighting 1 time a year or 0 times a year, in that top 15 equation. You have to continually rotate these guys and let people become champions, let people become top 15, top 10. If a guy's only fighting once, twice at most, like, what can you do? There's hurdles that you have to deal with. Another hurdle that Islam Makhachev is facing is similar to other fighters that we've seen in UFC history or MMA history or any combat sports. The most recent that we can look at is Khamzat. Another one is Usman. Kamaru Usman. You have the situation where you have this guy that has this style or who has this hype behind him but doesn't have the rank. What does that mean? Is that a lot of these other people that ranked higher don't want to face him, don't want to face these guys. Why are they going to go out, risk their ranking, face a guy that has all of these question marks about their style and about their skills? But at the same time, you can see they are very dominant in some sections of their game. In Islam Makhachev's situation, he excels very, very high in the wrestling department. His trips are probably one of the best, or not the best, in the lightweight division. And he also is very good at defensively when it comes to striking. He's very, very good at counter-striking. So now, you tell me, a guy that's ranked 4th, ranked 5th, a Justin Gaethje, for example, why is he going to go and face a guy that's ranked 12th, ranked 13th, ranked 14th, wherever Islam was throughout his career? Why is he going to do that and risk his ranking? For what reason? Just to prove a point? Well, if you do beat Islam Makhachev, Justin Gaethje is probably thinking, well, if I beat Islam Makhachev, what happens next? The fans, the UFC will move on. They'll basically say, oh, Islam wasn't ready. Islam was never that good. Islam was this. Well, Islam was that. And what does that leave Justin Gaethje with? Pretty much nothing. Well, what does he get out of it other than just having another fight? Not to harp on Khabib too much, but Khabib kind of had a similar trajectory. What I say is, what we mentioned before was about his activity. He wasn't that active earlier in his career. He did have a lot of injuries, one of them being his knees. I believe he tore a lot of the ligaments in his knees. And then there was a time where he wanted to retire, but he came back and eventually won the title. But regardless, it took him a long time to get active, get consistent in the UFC. It wasn't until 5 years in the UFC did Khabib face Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa is the reason, the example that I use, because he was one of the higher ranked lightweights that Khabib faced at that time. So Barbosa was in the top 10. I believe he might have been around the top 5 area, but that was when Barbosa was very, very hot. He was making his own claim to a title shot, and Khabib only faced him 5 years into his career. Now, when you have all of these things that we talked about before, where nobody really wants to face you that's that high ranked, right? A top 5 guy is not really itching to face a guy that's ranked 9th, or itching to face a guy that was 12th. How do you move him up? So now the obvious way to do that is what the UFC tried to do with Khamzat versus Leon Edwards, where Leon Edwards was top 3, Khamzat wasn't even ranked at one point, and they tried to match them up. Why do they do that? They want to take all the hype and all that momentum and potentially have Khamzat jump up in the rankings. If Khamzat were to beat Leon Edwards, you would instantly put him in the top 10, if not the top 5. That with Islam Makhachev's situation, you could do that as well, but it's not really working out because the top 5 guys have pretty big egos. They are really well established as well. You have Conor, you have Justin Gaethje, you have Tony Ferguson, you have Charles Oliveira, you have Dustin Poirier, you have all these guys who are probably past the point in their career where they need to fight a guy for their hype or care enough to like put people in their places, as I say. So what is the second way to get somebody up in the rankings? It's being more active. It's facing guys that, regardless of their rank, you're beating them, you're winning. If Islam Makhachev goes in there and beats Thiago Moises, which he should be doing. Thiago Moises is ranked 13th currently, and Islam Makhachev is ranked 9th. I don't see the UFC not moving Islam Makhachev if he beats Thiago Moises. Islam is ranked 9th right now. If he beats Thiago Moises, you can see him definitely going to 7. Definitely going to 6, just based off of activity. A lot of these guys in the lightweight division especially are not very active, and you're starting to see guys drop out. You see Tony Ferguson drop down. You see Paul Felder, who completely was removed. You see RDA, who hasn't fought for so long. He's gonna drop out as well. And what does that lead to is the most active fighter is just continually pushed to the point where after this fight, I wouldn't be surprised if Islam Makhachev is ranked 7th after this fight. And if you have number 7 versus number 4, that's much more easier. That's a lot more doable for the UFC to book as compared to number 13 versus number 5, number 14, number 2, number 15, number 6. If you have Islam Makhachev as 7 versus a Justin Gaethje that's a number 4, that's doable. Or you have a Michael Chandler versus Islam Makhachev, that's doable from a marketing standpoint, but also a sellability to the other fighter in the equation. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want more, make sure to check out all of our videos on our channel about the UFC and MMA today. What do you think is going to happen with Islam Makhachev? Is UFC doing him wrong? Or is he just a victim of the situation? Let us know in the comments down below.